Counteracting in Pathfinder 2nd Edition is usually a job left for the caster, since marshals tend to have limited access to it outside of dedicating yourself to the medicine skill in their feats. However, there are certain items, like the Etheric Essence Disruptor, that allow any character to attempt to counteract something. The issue with these items is that they all have their own counteract modifier that players must buy better versions of if they want to keep up with the game's scaling. Even if someone was willing to spend their money on this, and it's a decent amount of money to do this, then they still couldn't do this since many of these items only have a variant for a few levels. The Etheric Essence Disruptor, for instance, has only level 3, 7, 11, and 15 version. If you've played an Inventor with Gadget Specialist, I'm sure you've run into this issue. This is pretty annoying. However, if someone could figure out how Paizo got the prices and counteract modifiers, we can make a homebrew version of the counteract items for each level that stays in line with the math of the system. I'm going to explain how I figured this out, though it's pretty math heavy. If you don't like math explanations, then skip to this timestamp for the conclusions. There are two numbers we need to figure out: the prices and the counteract modifier. Starting with the prices, I guess that the price of the filters were a percentage of the total expected party treasure, which can be seen in this table. To figure out percentages, we usually use this formula. This formula says that the percent, which is a number over 100, is equal to a part over a whole. To figure out which number is which, the part's usually a smaller number than the whole, and the percent's going to be labeled as such. And also 100's always going to be there. In our case, the part is the gold price of the item, and the whole is the total party funds. For our first calculation, let's find out what percent of the party currency a level 3 Etheric Essence Disruptor is, assuming the party is also level 3. The Disruptor is priced at 12 gold, and the total party currency is 120. To calculate this, we'll divide 12 by 120, then multiply by 100. Now that we know what formula we're using, I'm going to show you how to calculate it on an Excel sheet, because I don't want to do all that math in my head, or on paper. So here's how we're going to do it. The Etheric Essence Disruptor at level 3 was 12 gold, and the party currency was 120. So our formula was 12 divided by 120 times 100. I'm just going to click on another empty cell, type in equals 12 divided by 120, and then multiply that by 100. Bam! We get 10. What this means is that the Etheric Essence Disruptor at level 3 is worth 10% of the total party currency. So to figure out if my thinking was correct, we're going to need to use this formula on all the other levels of the Etheric Essence Disruptor. Alright, I've got the numbers right here: the level of the item, the gold price, the party currency at the level, and now we need to calculate the percent of party currency. To do this, we're going to type in the formula equals the gold price, and we're going to select this cell so that the computer knows what we're referencing, divided by the party currency, which is this cell, times 100, and we'll hit enter. And there, for the level 3 item, we get the same number. Hooray! Now I'm going to click in the bottom right corner and drag it all the way down here. Boop! And we're going to ignore these with a bunch of empty cells. Don't worry about that. And we get the percent of the party currency for the level 7 item. 9% of your currency goes towards buying this item at level 7. 10.7% of your money goes towards this item at level 11, and exactly 10% goes towards this item at level 15. While these numbers aren't exactly 10 every time, it's close enough. I mean, like, that's 9.7, that's 10. That's 0.3% off each time. So I feel pretty confident in saying that this item should be about 10% of the total party currency. To get the price for the Etheric Essence Disruptor for every level, we'll need to find 10% of the party's currency at every level. To figure this out, we'll need to head back to our original percent formula. This time, we know the percent, 10%, and we know the whole, which is going to be our party currency. What we need to find is the part, which is the gold price. What we do here is we're going to take 10 divided by 100, then multiply the party currency to get our price. Alright, now we're going to actually calculate what the prices should be for every single level of the etheric essence disruptor. First, what I've done is I've already typed in the entire party currency in this column, and I've also typed in the party level in this column, not because we're going to use it for the math, just for my own personal sanity. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually type in our formula, which was equals 10 divided by 100 times our party currency, which is that cell. Bam! Here we get the price. Now we're going to do the same thing as before, where I take the bottom right and drag it all the way to the bottom. And there we get the approximate prices for what the etheric essence disruptor should be at every level, assuming it was 10% of the party currency. And as we can see here, a lot of my prices are pretty close to what the actual thing should have been. Like, one example of where I'm off is right here at level 7. Paizo had it at 70 gold. My calculation puts it at 72. Honestly, if you want to move the prices up or down a little so that you get a nice multiple of 5 or 10, you could do that. The world's not going to end. So, these items being 10% of the party currency is pretty close to what a lot of the other items that do something similar are going to be priced at. So this is a pretty good baseline for just about any item that does something pretty similar. However, if you want the exact numbers, you're going to have to do the calculations yourself, because I'm not going to do everything for you. Do your math. Eat your veggies. The last number we need to find is the Counteract modifiers, which ended up being a lot easier than finding the price. I figured it had something to do with the level-based DCs, so I went ahead and compared the numbers, and it turns out the Counteract mod on the disruptors is almost always 10 less than the level-based DC of that level. Now, I have no idea why the level 3 version is 11 less instead of 10 less, and honestly, I would just change it to 10 less for consistency. With that in mind, we can figure out what the modifier should be for each level. Alright. Now that we know that the Counteract mod should just be 10 minus the level-based DC, we can go ahead and put it in our Excel sheet. To do this, we're going to, well, first you gotta type in the level-based DCs. I put them all in a column over here. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna type our formula in over here. It's gonna be equals this number minus 10. And we get 5, so we know we're correct. And now we're going to do the click and drag thing again. Just like that. Why are you 10? Okay, I fixed it. And now we get the expected Counteract modifier for every level. Woo! Alright, for those that watch the entire explanation, I hope you learned something and can apply it to other parts of Pathfinder and life. For those that skipped, here's a chart that gives a generic price here, and a Counteract modifier for any consumable in the game that can counteract things. You can change the price somewhat without breaking the system. Enjoy! Your inventors will be happy.